And for our beanie, we're going to be working with 2 different colors of size 4 medium weight yarn. And I'm also going to be using a size G or 6 or 4 1/4 of a millimeter crochet hook. We're going to begin with a magic circle, so drape your tail over your working yarn and pinch that intersection. Then we're going to yarn over and pull through our magic circle. For row 1, we're going to chain 1 and place 12 double crochets inside our magic circle. And when you're placing your double crochet stitches, make sure you're placing them inside your loop as well as over your tail here. And that way you can tighten your magic circle when you need to. And once you have your 12 double crochets, pull on your tail to tighten the gap in your magic circle. And for this next part, you might want to grab a scrap piece of yarn or a stitch marker to mark the first stitch in each row. So for our next row, we're going to place 1 single crochet as well as 1 double crochet in each stitch going all the way around, and we're going to dive right into our first double crochet. So you don't need to worry about joining your first and last stitch at the end of your last row. Instead, we're going to allow our pattern to act like a spiral. So to do that, I usually place my first 2 stitches of the row and then go back and mark the first stitch like this. And like I said, we're going to place 1 single crochet and then 1 double crochet in each stitch in our row, going all the way around for a total of 24 stitches. And at the end of your row, you can remove your stitch marker. And so for this next row, we want to continue our alternating pattern of placing a single crochet and then a double crochet. But we're also going to be increasing in every other stitch. So at the end of our last row, we placed a double crochet. So in our next stitch, we're going to place 1 single crochet. And then in our following stitch, we're going to place a double crochet and then a single crochet. We want to make sure we mark that first stitch. So basically we're going to alternate between placing 1 and 2 stitches in each stitch in our row, and we want to make sure that we're alternating our stitches. So we place 2 stitches in our last stitch, ending with a single crochet. So now we're going to place 1 double crochet in our next stitch, and in the following stitch we're going to place a single crochet and then a double crochet. And then just 1 single crochet in our next stitch, then a double crochet and a single crochet. So go ahead and repeat that alternating pattern going all the way around your row, and when you get done, you should have a total of 36 stitches. And at the end of your row, you're going to remove your stitch marker. And so for our next row, we want to continue with our alternating single crochet, double crochet pattern, but the pattern for increasing is going to be to place 1 stitch in our first 2 stitches and then 2 stitches in our 3rd stitch. So we ended our last row on an increasing, ending in a double crochet. So we're going to begin our next row with a single crochet, then a double crochet in our following stitch, and then this 3rd stitch we're going to increase. So we're going to place 1 single crochet and then 1 double crochet. And don't forget to mark that first stitch of your row. So now we're just going to continue that pattern, placing 1 single crochet in our next stitch, 1 double crochet in the following stitch, and then 1 single crochet and then 1 double crochet in that next stitch. We're going to repeat that going all the way around our row, and when we get done, we should have a total of 48 stitches. So this next row is our last row of increasing. So go ahead and remove your stitch marker. And what we're going to do is we're going to place 1 stitch in our first 3 stitches and then 2 stitches in our 4th stitch. But since we've been placing 1 single crochet in our first stitch in every row, I want to sort of change it up. So I'm going to begin this next row with a double crochet in my first stitch, then a single crochet in my second stitch, and a double crochet in my third. I'm going to go ahead and mark that first stitch so I don't forget. And so in this 4th stitch, I'm going to place 1 single crochet and then 1 double crochet. So now we're just going to continue our increasing pattern going all the way around our row, and we're going to make sure we're alternating our stitches just like we've been doing for the entire pattern. And when you get to the end of your row, you should have a total of 60 single crochets. And so now your pattern should look something like this. We're going to go ahead and remove our stitch marker. And I'm sorry if this is a little bit confusing, but I want you to go ahead and add 1 more increasing section, because for this pattern to work, we do need an odd number of stitches. And following that same pattern that I was following before, I'm just going to place 1 more increasing section. So what we're going to do is we're just going to alternate between placing 1 single crochet and then a double crochet, going all the way around our row, and we're only placing 1 stitch in each of these stitches. So our next stitch should be a double crochet, but it's no big deal if it's not. You're just going to do the opposite of whatever your next stitch is. So for me, this is a double crochet, so I'm just going to place a single crochet in that next stitch, and then I'm going to place a double crochet in the following stitch. So that is going to be your pattern for multiple rows while we build the body of our beanie, just alternating between single and double crochet stitches. And I followed that pattern for roughly 20 rows. So you want to end your last row on a single crochet stitch. Then we're going to place 1 slip stitch in our following stitch and chain 2. So we're going to place 1 double crochet in each stitch in our row, starting with this very first stitch where we placed our slip stitch and our chain 2. So go ahead and place 1 double crochet in each stitch in your row, and you should have a total of 61 double crochets when you're done. And at the end of our row, we're going to skip our slip stitch and our chain 2, and we're going to slip stitch into the top of our first double crochet. But we want to yarn over with our other color of yarn. So insert your crochet hook in that stitch, and then we're just going to yarn over and drop all of our loops for a slip stitch. And for this first stitch, I recommend that you hold your tail in place. And all we're going to do for this row is alternate between placing front and back post stitches. So we're going to place our first front post stitch right here in this first double crochet where we placed our slip stitch. So basically we're just going to place a double crochet around this stem that forms our stitch rather than working in the top portion. And we're going to do that by inserting our crochet hook from the front around the back, and we're just going to hug the post of that stitch. From here, we're just going to yarn over and pull up through our post, and then yarn over and drop 2 loops at a time to complete our stitch. For our next stitch, we're going to place a back post stitch. So we're going to insert our crochet hook from the back around to the front, and then back around to the back again, capturing the post instead of the top of our stitch. Then we're going to yarn over and pull up through the post and then yarn over and drop 2 loops at a time to complete the stitch. So for the rest of our row, we're just going to alternate between placing front and back post stitches going all the way around. And at the end of the row, we're going to place our last stitch around this chain 2, and this should be a back post stitch. From here, we're going to slip stitch into the top of our first post stitch. And next, we're just going to cut and tie off our yarn. And where we added in our new color, I'm just going to tie the starting and ending tails together a few times. And I'm going to hide my tail down the row that I was just working for a few stitches, and then up the inside of the beanie. Please let me know in the comments below if you experienced any issues while you were making this beanie, and I will do my best to help you out. If this video helped you, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel, Crochet with Julie. Thank you so much for working with me, and I hope you have a wonderful, awesome day.